Hello. Hi, guys. I'm back for another live. I hope you guys can see me there. I'm going to lift this up some. Maybe if I do that. Get adjusted. Hi. This is your friend, your girlfriend, your friend, your sister, and Tahiri Divine, the student and the teacher. And I am coming with you guys for another video, sharing some insights for your spiritual ascension tips and needs. You guys can find me on all my social sites as Tahiri Divine. I'm officially on Patreon, so let's become a Patreon member so that we can connect, share, and learn and grow together, where I share more information with you guys, resources as we can dive into them, putting together what we have as we grow, learn, and expand. So yes, join me on Patreon. I look forward to seeing you guys there. We have been getting it on and popping so far. But okay, happy February. It's February. It's official. I'm excited. This month long, I am doing a Feminine February, where just about every day in February, I'll be sharing with you guys. Oh, I think I'm making this bounce. Okay. But just about every day in February, I will be sharing a different principle of the divine femininity. So what is divine feminine, and what is this femininity thing we're talking about? Is it feminism? Is it, woman empowerment? What is this? The rise of the divine feminine. If you guys have been hearing that catchphrase just about everywhere you go. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to make sure my face. Anyway. We've been hearing this buzzword for about some years now, especially really heavy right now since we're in this really wonderful, confusing, awakening period, being in the age of the Aquarius, right? If I'm fidgeting with my hair, guys, I'm sorry. That's just the Libra in me being too particular about her looks. But no, I want to come to you guys and sharing exactly what is this divine feminine and what is it? How do we define it? And what is embodiment of this divine feminine nature, right? So the divine feminine is actually the aspect or the concept of the feminine nature of God. For a very long time, centuries now, we've been under a very masculine rule or masculine impression of said divine, right? Not realizing that, or it's been snuffed actually, the feminine nature of God or goddess. Okay, so it's the essence of God and the principle of God being masculine, yes, but also feminine, and understanding and knowing that femininity is the governing principle so that we can even have masculine. So I know for those who come from a very Abrahamic religion faith, it is taught that God is male and is only masculine. Well, guys, we've been duped. God is not male. God is not a man. God's not even a woman. It is actually an essence of consciousness being the embodiment of a feminine nature, because everything comes from the feminine. That's why we have the word. If you break down the words, and we do this in my Patreon, we break down words, etymology and phonetics. Feminine is the feminine 9. You have the number 9, right? 9, if you guys understand in numerology, is a cycle, right? And all numbers are in the number 9. Also, 0 is a feminine number because 0 is not a nothing. All things come from no thing because you know a thing, okay? So it's not play on words. We break it down more in depth on our Patreon. We get it lit on breaking down these words, but understanding that the feminine nature is the governing overall principle for everything to be birthed out as what we have today is the creative source. It is that energy that is that nurturing. That's what we call it, Mother Nature, Father, Mother, God. It's a women or the feminine, but as above, so below, as within, as without, the Hermetic principles or the universal principles shows that how we see things on the physical plane, there's also a representation of that on the spiritual, or more so it's the spiritual has a representation on the physical. So women give birth. Women are the nurturers. Women are the said gods of earth because of our intuitive nature, also because of our natural inclination to be a creator, our physical ability to be a creator. We incubate both masculine and feminine children. So that is where that comes from. So the woman or the female or the feminine nature comes before the masculine. Now you have the word masculine, you have the line in it, as you have 9. 9 is cycles, right? Women go through cycles, earth goes through cycles, And then masculine is a line, it's linear, it's straightforward. The masculine or the male energy is more of a straightforward, a linear kind of energy. Okay, so that's where we get, if we pay attention to the words, it's telling us exactly what we're dealing with here or what we are. So does that mean that only women have the divine feminine and only men have the divine masculine? No, actually, no matter if you're male or female bodied, we all carry both aspects of the divine feminine, divine nature. Now, it may be to a certain more levels than others. There are men that may have more of the feminine nature, as far as there's women that may have more of the masculine nature, but we both carry masculinity and femininity, and we flow between the two because we live in a dual society, not even a society, but in a dual universe. There's duality. You must have both because it is a image of God. Okay, so I want to talk more about the embodiment. If you guys have been following me on my Instagram, we've been talking about the different insights. The first insight was rest and receive. That is a feminine nature to receive. Even if you look down at the sexual parts or the intimate parts of a woman, she is to receive. The man is to give. So understanding it's a divine principle for women to receive because she gives as much, but it's more of her divine nature or more of a feminine energy nature to receive and to rest. That's where there are cycles within the women. If we pay attention to our menstrual cycles, right? We actually go through our own natural season. We go through 4 seasons. We go through a spring, summer, fall, and a winter season. Your winter season would be when you're on your actual cycle, right? And after your winter season, you go into your spring. Most women notice when they're on their cycle, they feel more tired. They feel more heavier. They just feel more. Now, this is just a general. I'm not saying everybody feels like this, but they feel more of that energy of a want to be incubating, wanting to kind of close off, be alone, be by themselves, right? That is the most sacred time of a woman is when she is on her menstrual. Okay. I know we've been taught in society to not like the menstrual, hate the period or whatever it is, but it's actually a very beautiful time of your creativity. And it's also the time when your body needs to physically rest. Now, I know we don't practice that in the way our society is today, particularly those who are in America, but that is the natural cycle of how it should be. Next cycle will be the spring. Now you feel more energized. You have that time to incubate, that time to reflect, that time to be still. Now you're more energized during your spring week. This is also time when you're the most fertile as well. So that week is about that 10 days after your period is the most fertile time of the last day of your menstrual cycle is the most fertile time within yourself. So that's what we call it the springtime. That's the time when you're more likely. There's a few days within that 10-day period where you're the most likely to be impregnated during that time. So I say women's really important to know your cycles. If you want to practice a more natural, that is natural, a natural form of birth control is understanding and knowing your cycle and knowing when you're at your peak and knowing the differences in your body. Next phase will be your summer phase. Still very busy, even more energy than the first time as well. But it's also kind of like the fun, playful time. And then you go into your fall phase where now things are kind of slowing down. Your energy is kind of toning down that 3rd week. And then you go right back into your winter time. So important to know your cycles and know how we resonate with nature because we're not outside of nature. We're within nature. Like we're not outside of space. We're in space. Okay. Also, talking about cycles, what's also important is because like I said, the feminine nature or feminine principle of the divine is knowing cycles, knowing when it's time to do things, knowing when it's time to move, when it's time to sit, when it's time to move. I said again, but just knowing your cycles and being aware and having that insight and that intuitive nature to be led and to follow your own heart and your spirit, right? Another principle insight that I shared is inner authority. This is the one I want to talk more about because I know particularly when it comes to women, we have an issue stepping true into our power and our own voice. And I know a lot of factors have played into that. But I want to speak to us how we can take back and grasp again our inner authority. And what does inner authority means? Walking with inner authority has nothing to do with having control or power over anybody. It has less to do with that, if anything. if you guys want a really great book to read, it's called Power versus Force, and I think it's Dr. Wayne Dyer. I will put the link in the description for you guys. But it's a really wonderful book that it's quite heavy, but it's a really great book to really dive into this aspect of power versus force. And when you're in your feminine nature, that's the power of it. Walking with that inner authority is knowing who you are, that confidence, that ability to voice yourself, have healthy boundaries. When you say yes, your yeses are yays and your nays be nay. It's that walking in the trusting yourself and your intuition and walking within the full embodiment of who you are and not wavering within that. That is inner authority. It's trusting yourself and then executing it. Far too many times we will say things. Here's an example to hit it home, make it real for us. We will say things, no fuck boys allowed, right? Something like that nature. Like, I'm not going to be messing with this kind of dude with this, and third, right? But then we end up meeting somebody and they fall in those qualities or those characteristics of a fuckboy, and we end up fucking with them anyway. You have went against your own inner authority, and now that is a telltale sign of going against yourself. And that's when we start to lose our connection, if you want to say, or we weaken our connection with our intuition. And also you weaken your connection in trusting yourself because you made an affirmative with yourself that you would not do a certain thing, and then you go against it and do it anyway. That is another way we weaken our inner authority, as far as not being true to what we say that we will do and what we say that we are. Okay? So that is another aspect of how we can really take time and recognize and being aware of the things that we say and how our actions resonate that. And not just resonate, that embodies it. So I want to share with you guys, I didn't want this to make this really long, just a synopsis of what is the divine feminine nature? How do we embody this through the different insights of receiving, trust, inner authority? These are just wonderful, beautiful aspects that we can walk in and learn from by looking at the archetypes of feminine natures. A really great present day archetype that I admire is of the divine feminine is Sade. She has such a powerful inner authority that she doesn't have to even say nothing. Okay, she could just step in the room and you feel the glory of who she is because she walks in the beauty and the knowing and the confidence. It doesn't come off cocky. It doesn't come off like in your face. It's just her being who she is. So that is one of my favorite archetypes to mirror or look towards when I think about a present day divine feminine nature. Now, there's other aspects of the divine feminine nature. Doesn't mean there's not going to be times when the nature, the feminine, the divine feminine is going to be more abrasive or a little more in your face, because then that's when you get the more of the Saturnalian kind of energy. Because, you know, Saturn, and I share this, guys, more into my groups here, is that grandmother. I know we recognize it as a masculine energy, but it's more of it's a feminine energy. But think of Saturn as that tough grandma who ain't playing no games with you. Like, she love you, but you know she that gun-toting cussing grandma who gonna set you straight and then make you a pie afterwards. But that's another archetype of the feminine nature as well. But I want to talk more on what we consider a softer side that's not really soft. Please, just because something is soft does not mean it's not powerful, okay? Because like when you guys think of Sade, she's a powerful energy of a feminine nature, right? Who's another one I think does that? I mean, Beyonce is another archetype if we want to use her up today. I think Meghan Markle has a aspect of feminine nature as well, the divine feminine nature in her too. I mean, there's a lot more different people we can pull from and see. But also another great archetypes to look at is the different goddesses of the mythologies. We have Isis or Osset. We have Hathor. We have oh goodness, what's another one? Hephaestus. We have Aphrodite. That's more Greek mythology, but the Greek gods are based off of the Kemetic ones. Lakshmi and Kali Ma. We have, which is more of an abrasive form of the divine feminine, right? Swarovski. I just completely murdered her name, dear goddess, forgive me. Kuan Yin, beautiful energy as well. So there's different archetypes that we can look towards and see how we embody these or how we can embody them. One that I really worked a lot with last year was Kuan Yin. She represents the goddess of compassion and love, and pretty much compassion for yourself. So for those who are dealing with heart chakra problems or heart chakra issues, love issues for love of self, she's a wonderful energy to work with to help build up that confidence and that love. And that's really what divine nature, the divine feminine is love of self. I really want to do a breakdown. I'm going to do another video on a breakdown of Moana because that was a beautiful and a beautiful story of divine feminine and the hero's journey at the same time. I'm not going to talk too much about it now because I'm going to do a video on it since I thought about it. I'm going to do a video on it. But that's all I wanted to share with you guys on the more aspect of how we can step into more inner authority and where these where some representations that from today and from the mythos that we can use to help us walk into that. So I look forward to sharing another video with you guys. Thank you. Talk to you later.